What is it that makes the Milanese Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra so good? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Ronan and I make product and tech reviews. And in today's video, I want to take a look at the Milanese Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra and Ultra 2. So I actually picked this band up shortly after it launched last year, and I made like an initial impressions video about it, and I talked about all the things that I liked about it, and I talked about the fact that I kind of don't really like that it cost €219. So fast forward a few months until today, and I really feel like I need to make another video about this band. So the first thing that I want to say about this band is that it's absolutely fantastic. I got it in natural titanium because that's the color of my watch and it pairs with it beautifully. And I have no doubt that the satin black titanium band looks equally as good on the black Apple Watch Ultra 2 if that's more your thing. But personally, for me, if I was buying an Apple Watch Ultra like for the first time ever today, I'd still choose the natural titanium over the black because, to be honest, the natural titanium is just way more my vibe. And when I ordered my Milanese Loop, I ordered it directly from the Apple online store. So before I ordered it, I actually had to go and measure my wrist. And I basically took a measuring tape and I measured it around this portion of my wrist here. And my wrist is roughly 7 inches. So according to the guide on the Apple online store, I should have chosen the medium. So that's exactly what I ordered and it fits my wrist perfectly. But there's also plenty of room for me to adjust the band if I ever need to. If your wrist is in and around the 7-inch mark, I would suggest going for the medium. And I found that the sizing guide on the Apple website was perfect for me at least. So this might have been one of the most frivolous purchases I've made in a very long time. So I already have all 3 of the original bands that Apple make for the Apple Watch Ultra series. So I really didn't need to buy the Milanese Loop. Like, I wasn't stuck for a band to wear. But I did really want to round out my collection and I wanted to have all of the official Apple Watch Ultra bands that Apple make. And I also just completely fell in love with how the Milanese Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra looked when Apple launched it. And it also kind of reminded me of another band on another watch that I really, really love. So again, for me, that was a big draw. Okay, so my all-time favorite watch is this one right here. This is the Omega Seamaster Professional. I have it here in the mid-size, and I got this watch back in 2006, and when I got it, I pretty much wore it every day until I got my first Apple Watch in 2017. Now, I don't really wear this watch as much at all because I'm wearing my Apple Watch, but I do kind of keep it for special occasions, and I also kind of tend to throw it on if I need to charge up my watch, if it's dead or that kind of a thing. I will break this out then, but otherwise, generally, I'm wearing my Apple Watch Ultra. And at this point in the video, you're probably wondering, this is about the Milanese Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra. Why is he talking about this? Well, the reason I'm talking about that watch is because Omega have actually updated the Seamaster quite a bit since I got that one. And on the new versions that they've released, they actually do it on a Milanese Loop and it looks a lot like this one. So that is sort of the connection. And for me, that was one of the big reasons why I wanted a band like this for my Apple Watch Ultra. Because to me, this really reminds me of the Milanese Loop that Omega have on their current generation Seamaster. Okay, so first off, one of the big criticisms that people had about the Apple Watch Ultra when it launched in September 2022 was kind of how it looked. Like, people said it looked super casual and that you couldn't kind of dress it up or make it look more formal or more professional if you had it on the Trail Loop or the Alpine Loop or the Ocean Band. Essentially, people just felt that the Apple Watch Ultra was just too casual or too rugged to be worn as a dress watch. And if you pair the Apple Watch Ultra with any of the original 3 bands that it launched with, to be honest, I can kind of understand where people were coming from. It does look much more casual and it looks much more kind of like functional and rugged and sort of for those kind of like tougher, rugged activities that it was kind of marketed as when it first launched. Like the Alpine Loop, the Trail Loop, and the Ocean Band have a much more kind of functional and definitely a much more casual look, which really kind of gives the Apple Watch Ultra a more kind of like off-duty vibe when you're wearing it. But then the Milanese Loop, on the other hand, really does make the Apple Watch Ultra look much more professional. And when I have my Apple Watch on my Milanese Loop, I really feel like the watch looks much more premium and much more luxurious than it does when I have it paired with any other band that I own. So to my surprise, the Milanese Loop is actually the most comfortable band that I've ever had on my Apple Watch Ultra. Because it's titanium, it's surprisingly lightweight. Like when you look at it here like this, it just looks like it should feel heavier than it does, but there's practically no weight in it at all. And that's just a feature of titanium. It's a super lightweight and super durable metal. So it's perfect for the Apple Watch Ultra. But that also just makes it feel really, really nice. And then the mesh on the bracelet is also beautifully machined. It feels incredibly smooth, both to the touch and just when it's on your wrist. So that makes it really, really comfortable as well. And then one other thing to mention about just the comfort levels of this band, when it's on my wrist, it never causes me any skin irritation. So I've had some issues with some of the other bands that I've worn with my Apple Watch Ultra, and in particular the Trail Loop, when it comes to skin irritation. And if I kind of wear, or kind of particularly when I got them first, if I wore them a lot, my wrist would get really, really itchy and I'd kind of have to take the watch off and kind of give my skin a bit of a break from that band for a while. Whereas I've never had that problem with the Milanese Loop. I think because it's so smooth, and also just because like it is quite breathable, because you can see like there are gaps in the mesh. Like moisture and sweat or water or anything like that, it never gets trapped between the bracelet and my wrist. So I seem to be avoiding all skin irritation with this band. And then also, since I got the Milanese Loop, I've had people asking me if it ever kind of like pinches or pulls the hair on my wrist. And I can honestly say I've never experienced either of those things. So for me, that is not an issue either. And since it arrived last November, I've kind of had it on my watch almost the entire time. I barely use these three bands here at all anymore. I do kind of generally use my Ocean Band if I'm exercising or running or anything like that. But beyond that, when I have my Apple Watch Ultra on, it's on the Milanese Loop now. So in my first impressions video, I was critical of the €229 price tag on the Milanese Loop. And having used it for a couple of months now, to answer the question of whether or not I think it's worth the €229, given how much I love this band, I'm kind of leaning towards yes. And like, as I said earlier, for me, it was absolutely a frivolous purchase. But then in saying that, I've never had an ounce of regret about buying this band. But like, having said all that, if you go onto the Apple store right now and take a look at the pricing on the Apple Watch Ultra, if you order it with either the Trail Loop, the Alpine Loop, or the Ocean Band, the watch costs €899. But if you order it with the Milanese Loop, it costs €1,019. So like, it is still quite an expensive band, and there's just no getting away from that for me. And like, the thing is, if you go and you buy like a really like luxurious watch, like an Omega or a Rolex or something like that, it's gonna come on like a super premium strap or a beautiful metal bracelet. And like, they are really expensive. But to get that for the Apple Watch Ultra, you do have to pay another €219, or get pushed into that higher price bracket that makes your Apple Watch more than €1,000 to buy. And like, for me, the big difference there is if you buy something like a Rolex or an Omega or whatever, like, you're gonna buy it and chances are you're gonna either keep it for the rest of your life or you're buying it as an investment piece. But that's just not the case with an Apple Watch. Because at the end of the day, if you buy an Apple Watch, regardless of which Apple Watch you buy, it's a piece of tech first and a watch second. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing piece of tech, but at some point, either the battery's gonna fail or it's gonna become outdated and obsolete. And when that happens, there's no guarantee that the latest generation Apple Watch is still gonna be compatible with the current bands. But all of that being said, for me, I do absolutely love this band. And what I would say is if you can afford it and you're interested in it, I would 100% recommend it because I don't think you're going to regret it at all. It is just class. And it just makes owning and wearing the Apple Watch Ultra that much better. Okay, so that is all I'm gonna say about the Milanese Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra and Ultra 2 for now. So I'm gonna leave this video here. I hope you've liked it. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.